This is the guide for reshade and installation of SuperDef 3D for Autostereoscopic displays. You will have to have these programs downloaded, which will be FreePie, the reshade installer, and the drivers for Tobii eye tracking, which is also necessary hardware for this specific audio stereoscopic display. The display was made by Mopic, and this is the display that I will be focusing on specifically for audio stereoscopic 3D. First things first, we would want to download and install this application here from reshade.me. I already have it installed, so we're just going to start it up. I'm going to click on Manage Install, and we can find Serious Sam in here if it pops up. But in our case, we will click on Browse and go to the place where we have Serious Sam's exe executable file. And we will click that, click Open, and click on DirectX 12 since this was set up previously for this screen. We'll uncheck this repo and we'll check SuperDef 3D, which should be right here. Click OK. This will download the required shaders and script that's used for FreePie, which is a Python script. We'll uncheck all of these and specifically check SuperDef 3D and hit OK. Alright, now we can close that. You will also need to have FreePie, but I already have that downloaded and installed. But we are going to open up FreePie and click on Open and navigate to where the Serious Sam 3D folder is, which is Serious Sam bin x64 reshade shaders def 3D, and in there will be the FreePie script. Click on that and click on Run. Make sure that you have tracking working right here. So I move my head left and right, and you can see it's working. You can close that and just minimize this, and that's running in the background. Don't have to work with it. It's all automatic. So now we're gonna, since that's all installed, it should be all correct. Now we're gonna start up Serious Sam 4. You don't have to mess too much with the settings, but it should be enough to start playing the game as is. So you should have the game installed and running at its native resolution so that it works with the Mopic display at 4K. Because of this, you're going to have a pretty beefy system to run most modern games at 4K with the auto stereoscopic settings. We're going to click on single player. Actually, before that, we're going to go to options. We're going to go to graphic options, and we're going to make sure that the max 3D rendering in this game is at 4K. You will also need to make sure that you download. Actually, not download, but you also have to make sure that you have to have the internal resolution of the game also set to 4K so that you don't get graphical glitches or other unexpected things. You'll also need to make sure that multi-sampling anti-aliasing MSAA is turned off. This will disable the this can in most cases disable the depth buffer in games. Make sure resolution's at your native, like I said before. This is something you'll have to. For other things you would like to do would be in GPU. No, that's CPU speed. In GPU speed, you would also want to make sure you set things like depth of field to off, motion blur to off, and other effects that can cause issues with the 3D image. Other than that, you should be fine. You can use, I'm going to disable FXAA. Sometimes that causes issues, sometimes it doesn't, but in this case, just to make sure, I'm just going to set that to off. Alright, I'm going to hit apply, hit escape, and We are going to start the single player game, campaign, no game, and we are going to click on the second mission. So we're going to start this up, and we're going to hit the N key or the home key. In this case, for Reshade, to bring up the menu, we're going to increase the size of the text so we can actually read what's going on. Okay, and we're going to click on Skip Tutorial. I'll click on Super Dev 3D, and we are going to hit reload once it's inside the once it's finished loading. Right now set to side by side. This is not the mode that we currently want, and we'll be switching that soon. So we're just going to hit reload. We do this so that it can grab the depth buffer properly. In most cases you don't have to do that, but it's a particular glitch in this game. Crosshair, please fix. Alright, now we are going to switch this over to Autostereoscopic in the stereoscopic options, and for my screen's a little bit off, I get a little bit ghosting, so I'm going to shift the image a little bit to the right. You don't have to do this for every screen, but maybe your screen will be a little bit different from mine. It depends on the barrier that you use, whatever they use for the barrier. If it's set a little bit off center, you may need to fine tune it here. In most cases you shouldn't have to, but in my case I have set to about around this number. Alright, and we are going to close that by hitting home again and clicking continue. We're going to skip this, and the game should be in 3D already. It won't be very strong 3D, but it should be enough to enjoy the game. But if you're like me, you want to increase the depth to this game particularly, you may want to set the separation up a little bit for this display, maybe 125 on this. And if this is still not enough for you and you want to really have the image sink in, you increase divergence. And this will cause like a toyification effect. I think I'll set this to around 50, and that will probably be good enough for myself. Other people may want more, other people may want less. It just depends on the user. Most settings should be okay, since this is using Overwatch, and Overwatch sets up the depth buffer and other settings automatically. And that's a 3D image for your autostereoscopic display. One of the neat things for this Mopic I can't speak. But one of the neat things for this autostereoscopic display is that you don't need to put on glasses, and the Tobii eye tracker actually tracks my head, so if I move a little bit to the right or if I move a little bit to the left, the image will automatically shift to so that it tries to reduce the ghosting. It's not fast, so if I move my head too quickly, it will like shift and jump into position. But if I move around a little bit, not too crazy, it's fast enough. But the gameplay is very quick. It's very snappy. So it's very low latency, and that's a good thing when playing these types of games. I'm just gonna play a little bit of the game to show you that it's not interfering with my vision too much, and this is completely playable.
Harvester leviathans are a lot bigger than I imagined.
It's not the size, kid.
A small message to the Mopic developers. I would like to see a Unity app that can use a generic camera and that will accept a input from side by side and top and bottom, or even interlace, and convert it into the output you need that's necessary for this screen specifically. I do know, and I probably could make it myself, but I'm a bit busy. But I do know that you can mirror the desktop. I do it for my VR software. and it should be quick enough to allow most people to use this screen without using too many weird settings and too
Apply
many weird
bullets as
options.
needed.
It would be nice to have that option even for conversion for other software that has a side-by-side output. It'll make it easier. Other than that, I do enjoy the screen, and I'm a little bit disappointed in that it was difficult to get this far, but I'm happy that I'm able to play most games in this fashion. There are still issues with dark games that have high contrast. Like, you're not gonna be playing Alien Isolation with this because it just causes too much ghosting. But a game like Serious Sam 4, perfect. It's very playable, minimal ghosting. A game like Borderlands 3, really fun to play on this monitor, and there's also a few other games. But as long as you like temper your expectations a little bit, it's completely fine. Price is a bit much. I do think you should release a version that's just the screen with the layer applied to it and accompanying software, like you make the Unity software as I explained, or you're making a custom software for Windows. That's fine. And bring down the cost a bit so it's more in line with other monitors around the range. That way you can recoup some of the loss without using the device, the external device. I do understand why you have the external device. I'm just saying that there's another market out there that you can use this for. It would be pretty cool if you can get it working with the generic camera and just some simple software on the Windows side. And they can use Super Dev 3D, my own 3D software, to interface with that, and they can have a pretty fun and enjoyable experience. Alright. Thank you, and goodbye.